شفيع ذنبي وفي الغدير بدا مصيري أنا أميري له دعوني في جنوني وعالمي فلا يضاهى روح طه وفاطمي به أغالي لا أبالي بلائمي قالوا آخرهم ترتيبا علي قلنا الأول علي يزول همي وكل غمي بخير اسمي علي قد اصطفاه لي الإله وما سواه أنا شعاري كالغفار هواه لي وكابن ياسر في المشاعر بمحفلي بيوم خمي صاح دمي علي علي قالوا الرابع في الخلفاء علي قلنا الأول علي هواك ظلي فداك كلي سواك من لي إذا جناني أحب ثاني فلا يداني أبا ترابي أنت بابي لجنتي إليك جئت فيك مت بجنتي فخذ ولائي وانتمائي وحيرتي قالوا من أرفع شأنا من علي قلنا الأول علي الضمان هو الأمان هو الجنان وفي صلاتي علي ذاتي وتلبياتي علي علي دمي قلب أمي ووالدي علي ديني ذا يقيني وقائدي به جننت ونذرت قصائدي قالوا يأتي بعد الثالث علي قلنا الأول علي جمال الوجود بذكر الإله وتصفو الحياة بنور هداه. جمال الوجود بذكر الإله وتصفو الحياة بنور هداه. وتطرب نفس له طاعة ويبلغ سعد إلى منتهى. فؤاد شغوف إلى ربه أحب رضاه أحب لقاه. يظل يجيء إلى ربوة قرار ويسمو وذا المرتغى. فلا لغنيه عن سيره ولا جمع مال تغى الشهوى. إذا ما ينادي منادي الفلاح تراه لذاك يحث خطاه. تراه لذاك يحث خطاه. جمال الوجود بذكر الإله وتصفو الحياة بنور هداه. جمال الوجود بذكر الإله وتصفو الحياة بنور هداه. وتطرب نفس له طاعة ويبلغ سعد إلى منتهى. يتم ربي أيا غافرا رجوتك عفوا ولا لي سواه. ودمع يسيل على مصحف به يصل الله صوف من أتى. فتلك سجايا لقلب سليم إلى الله دوما تدور رحاه. فيا سعد من كان ذا همة إلى جنة في أعالي سماء. إلى جنة في أعالي سماء. جمال الوجود بذكر الإله وتصفو الحياة بنور هداه. جمال الوجود بذكر الإله وتصفو الحياة بنور هداه. وتطرب نفس له طاعة ويبلغ سعد إلى منتهى.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قد أفلح المؤمنون الذين هم في صلاتهم خاشعون
والذين هم عن اللغو معرضون والذين هم للزكاة فاعلون والذين هم لفروجهم حافظون إلا على أزواجهم أو ما ملكت أيمانهم فإنهم غير ملومين فمن ابتغى وراء ذلك فأولئك هم العادون والذين هم لأماناتهم وعهدهم راعون والذين هم على صلواتهم يحافظون أولئك هم الوارثون الذين يرثون الفردوس هم فيها خالدون ولقد خلقنا الإنسان من سلالة من طين ثم جعلناه نطفة في قرار مكين ثم خلقنا النطفة علقة فخلقنا العلقة مضغة فخلقنا المضغة عظاما فكسونا العظام لحما ثم أنشأناه خلقا آخر فتبارك الله أحسن الخالقين ثم إنكم بعد ذلك لميتون ثم إنكم يوم القيامة تبعثون ولقد خلقنا فوقكم 7 طرائق وما كنا عن الخلق غافلين صدق الله العلي العظيم. Thank you.
جمال الوجود بذكر الإله وتصفو الحياة بنور هدى.
For a better life, and Canadian has given me that opportunity.
So you got a share of the company through sweat equity, through your work. You traded your work for a share of the company.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so then you became getting some success in business.
Yeah, I owned those 2 jewelry stores,
And then you walked in. Tell me the story about how you got into the restaurant trade then.
So one day my wife called me and she said that we had some guests, friends coming over for dinner, and she wanted me to buy baklava. So I said, great, no problem. So she pointed me to this place called Paramount in Mississauga. So I started driving on Dixie, was behind a police station. It's more really a place to have a dealership or a car repair shop more than a restaurant or a dessert place. So I walked in and there was nothing Paramount about the place. Like the paint was orange and the handle on the door was off. So I went and I ordered a kilo baklava, and the owner started a conversation with me and said that he saw something about me building a house. I was helping someone to build a house, that's another story. And would I lend him $250,000? And I'm like, I don't know you. Why would I lend you $250,000?
You're just buying baklava from the guy.
I just want a $20 baklava, yes. And I said to him, no, I can't do that. I don't know you. But that's my card. Those situations where you feel yourself like someone put you in a situation you do not want to be not polite and say no. And at the same time, you just really don't want to deal with it because you don't know, you don't have enough information about it. I handed him my card and I left, took my kilo baklava with me. And I got to the car, but while I'm talking to him, he said one thing that resonated a lot, and it stayed here. When there's something is scaring you in your heart that something bad is going to happen. He said, if you don't, we're going to bankrupt by Thursday. And 15 of my team members and myself will have to go back home because our visa is depending on the business. And that stayed here. So I sat in the car and I was thinking about it. And I'm like, wasn't that me? Like, wasn't that the lovely Italian lady that helped me build my life and gave me sweat equity in her business, believed in me? And this man needed the same help. And this is the moment that hit me, that I needed to decide what kind of human being I want to be. Am I going to be a stand-up person? I'm going to be somebody who forgot what Canadian did to him? Or someone who's going to help and give back? And this is when I decided to call him back. And I said, why don't you come to my office and let's talk about it? And he did.
And you ended up buying into it. And to be clear, though, you were not a wealthy man. This was a big investment for you.
It was all my money.
And what did you know about the restaurant business?
I didn't know how to fry an egg, and I'm not sure I know now, but I know maybe how. I don't know how to do it. But what I knew is bringing people together, and people that come here and they're so hungry to make it successfully and to make their life better. If you align them and make them buy into something that it's good for everyone else, for them, for their family, there is no way that you will fail. The only way to maintain people is getting them involved in something bigger than ourselves. And it's nothing bigger than ourselves than the homeless and the autistic children and the people that they're vulnerable that needs us the most. This is what's bigger than all of us together. Is be proud of who you are and never forget where you came from. I'll never forget that I was that hungry guy living in a basement apartment. And I'll always appreciate that. So I can feel that this success is temporary. For me to give it back to this community, to this beautiful country that gave it to me, never ever not be proud where you came from. I am who I am today. It's a combination of what I learned in Lebanon, what I studied in Italy, and what I learned in execution, where people helped me and showed me how to help others in Canada. That's who I am. And I want all people never hide who you are. Don't change your name to a shorter name so you can fit in and become more Canadian. It is the Canadian thing to do, to accept people as they are, respect and celebrate their culture. That's what we do in Canada. We celebrate people.
Hello. Can you hear?
اللهم صل على محمد وآل
وآل
محمد.
محمد.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and thank you very much for inviting me to spend some time with you this evening. I've been excited about this, and thank you so much. Special thank you, Yasser, for inviting me and the professional approach and a great car in the picture, I have to say. So I want to start by sharing some of my own thoughts on what it is to be a Muslim Arab in Canada today, how we can take care of ourselves and each other. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my own life. I'm going to talk to you about my experience with intolerance and why it is so important that we stand together against those who hate. I'm going to share with you some thoughts on leadership in our community. And after that, I'm so looking forward to an open discussion, listen to you, have a chat with you. I work a lot with young people in my restaurants and in the charity that we do. And I always find that I learn as much from them as I'm able to teach them. And sometimes even I learn more from them. So I feel very fortunate to be sharing this time with you all. My story is not just my own. It's a familiar story. It's the story of someone who left his home in search of opportunity and the chance to build a better life for myself and build a family. I was a refugee from the war in Lebanon, like you mentioned, Yasser. When I was 16, I left. I went to Italy. Later, as an immigrant, I landed in Canada. You mentioned it. I landed with $1,300 in my pocket. They welcomed me here right from the start. Most Canadians made me feel more like a citizen than an immigrant. I wasn't afraid to start at the bottom. I got a job in a coffee shop. It was a great way to learn the language and learn, most importantly, some Canadian customs. I still don't know why us Canadians, we talk always about the weather, even when it's just sunny out there and nice. So we always, when you talk to someone in the elevator, they always need to talk a little bit about the weather. And maybe you'll never become a true Canadian unless you really go to a coffee shop and discuss the snow with someone. So I lived in a shared basement apartment. I lived with two other people in the same building. Am I echoing? Am I echoing? Okay, thank you. So I did live in a shared basement apartment with two other people. And to pay rent, I had to teach French to the landlord's daughter. I didn't have any money. When I wasn't sleeping, I was working. I was always working. I wanted to earn some money so one day I could build something of my own. That's the way of the immigrant. We're ambitious. We work very hard. We understand the value of money and labor. But we stay positive through periods of hardship because we know that hard work can bring some rewards. People would always say to me, Mohamed, you work all the time. You're always working. You must be sore. And I always would say to them, well, yes, I still work until today, 16, 17 hours. But the only thing that hurts is my job because I'm always just smiling because subhanAllah, I always believe that with everything I was doing, something better and bigger is going to come. So one day my wife sent me into a restaurant to buy a baklava for the family. I started talking to the owner and his place was in trouble, near bankruptcy. At that point, I have saved up just enough money. I decided to take a chance. We made an offer and he said yes. And that was the start of something for me. Like you mentioned, Yasser, today Paramount Fine Food has more than 73 locations because we opened a couple during the pandemic. We employ over 2,000 people. And you can see our name in big letter in the sport arena in Mississauga. I cried when I put that sign up. This is the same city where I landed with nothing. And they're putting the sign of Paramount, halal food brand, on the biggest arena, second biggest in Ontario. And that meant a lot to me. And I did all this by selling Lebanese halal food, the food that I love from the country that I love. That's the happy version of my story. When I got here, before really buying Paramount, I had to work for free in a jewelry store. I don't know if you guys know about me, that I'm a gemologist. I studied at university geology, then I became a gemologist. People wouldn't hire me. So I had to work for free at a jewelry store. And at night, I used to do the night shift at the coffee time. It wasn't easy. It was very hard. But during that hard time and tough time, I learned much more than any other time I've learned in my life. In my time in Canada, I have known a great joy. I have felt love and acceptance from everyone. But I have also known what it is to be attacked, to be hated just for the color of my skin, for the place of my birth, for my faith. Like many Muslims, I have seen that kind of intolerance up close. And I know that just because you may have been born in Canada, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's easier for you and that you do not face that. Whether you have an accent or not, whether you were born Canadian or became Canadian, it really doesn't matter. That same prejudice can exist. As Muslims, we should be always, always proud of who we are. Proud of our backgrounds and our families. Proud of our ancestors, our heritage, our past, and our potential. But not everyone feels that pride. Some of my friends, they've tried to fit in by changing or shortening their names. Like sometimes I go to a store to buy something, and the guy looks like a Mohammed to me, and his name is Mike and Mo and names that doesn't fit him. And, other people, they stay away from mosques and community centers. Few have even turned away from having more Muslims friends in an effort to become what they see as a more Canadian. This is for them to choose, but I will tell you this. I will never, ever hide who I am. I sometimes be speaking at really important places with a lot of more important people than I am, especially the way I came to this country. But I always insist to start my speech by saying my name is Mohammed, and I'm very proud to be a Muslim, and I'm very proud to be Canadian. I make sure to tell them that I want to always keep my accent, because my accent starts a great conversation usually with people. They ask me, where are you from? Because I truly believe it's a strength where I'm from. I always celebrate who I am and who we are. I will always celebrate our community and our accomplishments, because we are stronger when we show and celebrate successes and when we are together. Now, it's not always easy to be strong, and I understand that. I've been attacked on the internet. I've been harassed in public places. My children were followed several times. I've seen things on my own home, and it's never because of something that I've done. It's always because of who I am, an Arab, a Muslim, and an immigrant. I will tell you a story. I went to get a haircut, me and my 3 boys, at the mall in Mississauga. A man recognizes me. He tries to engage. I'm polite. I'm always polite. I'm a nice guy in general. But he becomes very aggressive. His finger jabbing in the air. It's hard to follow what he's trying to say. He accuses me of supporting Boko Haram and all other sort of crazy things. I tell him, buddy, I only sell shawarma. Calm down. I walk away, and he follows, yelling at me. He won't stop. My kids were very upset. And it's very difficult for a father to be bullied, but for the protection of his children. And my lawyer was texting me because he kept following us and saying, don't touch him. Tomorrow, the whole media will say, a Muslim punched a white man, right? And the man kept following us. I don't know this man. They don't know this man. I've heard of him. He's an Islamophobe. They don't know why is he shouting. It can be scary, right? Hate can be scary. But here what's important. We all saw what happened with Jagmeet Singh in Ottawa. I used to walk away. Now I stand my ground. Even though I know intolerance, I also know how it feels to be supported by a great community of people. And I know very well how it was important for me to win that fight. I know the power that we have when we speak out and stand up together. Listen, I want to be very clear here with you. I'm not talking about you going out now and picking fights today. I'm not talking about violence, and I'm not talking about escalating a situation that you don't need to. Definitely the first priority is your well-being. Put yourself first. But what I'm saying is that we can accomplish much more when we work together. Stand together, support one another. We can accomplish much more when we call on good people of other faiths or people from our faith to join with us in saying no to hate and no to intolerance. It's a hard fight, but I believe you can be realistic and still be optimistic. I believe you can recognize that some people are bad, but still know that most people are good. But the problem is our silence. The good people are much bigger in number than the bad people. But our silence helps them, empowers the bad people, because they think it's okay to do what they do. So they do more of it. That's why I always say we need to stand up and speak out against it. And I believe that success is better when success is shared between us. And by the way, that guy who shouted at my family and was giving me a hard time in the mall, I decided to take a stand. I sued him for the biggest defamation lawsuit in the history of this country. Despite every single friend said to me, let it go. A lot of us immigrants don't like to rock the boat. We think we're happy with what we have. Why don't we just protect it and let it go? I decided not to do that. I decided to give a historical legal action and a judgment for our community, for the Black community, for every other community that it's always subjected to these kind of people. And the judge said her word. I want $2.5 million in damages from him, along with other restriction imposed on him by a judge. That was the biggest amount of dollars ever in a defamation claim, despite that every other lawyer that called me as a friend to say, Mohamed, freedom of speech, and they kept listing things. I said, you know what? No, I'm going to take him on. Not for me, for everyone else. And for all of you that don't know, in the legal system, once you have a judgment, other people can rely on that judgment. So other people that they get attacked by haters could rely on the judgment and call out that judgment, and the new judge will rely on that judgment to give another victory and another victory. So there are a lot of different ways to define success in life for me. Maybe some of you want to go into business, like me. Maybe others wants to be scientists and start the next Shopify. Whatever it is, do something that it's worth celebrating, that it's important. Because as a community, I truly believe we become what we celebrate. Because people, especially younger people, leaders like you all, we strive to follow the examples that have been set. When we celebrate career success, we inspire others to aim high in their education. When we celebrate business success, we help to create the next generation of entrepreneurs, people that want to do like you. But success should also be measured by how we build communities and how we make it stronger, how we take care of one another. This is what drives me every single day and motivates me. Look, I could sit home every single day and money is fine. That's not the point. For me, success is about how we build a stronger our community. So when Syrian refugees came to Canada from the war back home, I actually flew to the borders of Syria and Lebanon because I knew that they're going to need it. They're going to need our help. They're going to need money, and they're going to need somewhere to go. And I came back and we advocated with the prime minister. We advocated with the government. And they started this program of 25,000 Syrian refugees to start. When they arrived here, they needed a way to earn money. We hired over 150 Syrian refugees to work in our restaurant. There is nothing like the feeling of giving another human being a chance and the feeling of watching them prosper and restoring back their dignity. When the owners of Sufi restaurants got a threat and decided to close their restaurant to protect their family, I'm sure you heard about it. My team helped them to reopen and stay open. That day, I got 7 haters at the door of the restaurant. I was working there cleaning tables. And they came and they attacked me because I made them lose what they wanted to do. They wanted an immigrant to lose their business, and they wanted hate to win. And I truly believe hate will never win in Canada. So we reopened that business. No one in our country should be forced to close their restaurant or limit their growth because their fear for their life and for the safety of their employees, customers, children, family, or themselves. We saved the job that day. We stood up to those who hate. When the flight 752 was shut down in Tehran, you know how many people said they don't want to donate? It's Iran. Let Iran pay. You know, we don't like Iran. We don't do this. We don't do that. Million excuses. I launched the campaign. As you know, I'm not Iranian. Even the Iranian community appreciated it. We started Canada Strong to raise money for those families of the victims. It was about proving that no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, no matter your background or your religion of how long you've been in this country, a Canadian is a Canadian. And I wanted to send the message that they're not alone and that we are their Canadian family. And when this pandemic hit, it reminded me of what happened in Lebanon. It's sad. Seeing people dying is very sad. But it reminded me as well what I learned in Lebanon, that this is the time that us immigrants will show how our experiences are going to help the country that welcomed us. So I started really immediately asking my team, how can we help? We knew people would be hurting, so we took action. We raised a lot of money for the food bank in Mississauga because I heard a lot of people using the food bank. We are raising money to deliver free meals for the frontline workers and the emergency workers, as you heard, and I'm still doing that as we speak. It's all about take care of our local community and our Muslim community. When you do that, you show leadership. When you show leadership, others will follow. You change the way people think. You change minds. But most importantly, you change the way people think about us. Leadership is not just for political leaders or business leaders. We all can be leaders. Trust me. This is true of all Canadians. A lot of people say, Mohamed, why do you do this? Are you running for politics? What are you going to do? Because people are like accustomed to when you do something and you continue doing it, that means you want something out of it. Don't let anyone make you believe that your accent or where you came from or your color of skin or your faith should slow you ever down or take away from you the opportunity. A lot of people say, Mohamed, you have a heavy accent and you still go and speak to all these important people and you're not worried about that. And please don't let your great idea die with you and take them with you to the grave. Take a chance. Or don't let that stop you from raising your voice or voicing your opinion or from achieving more and reaching to your dreams. This is very important. I actually believe the opposite to be true. Your difference is your strength and brings a different perspective and broader experiences that others do not have. Two of the Syrian refugees that we hired, one of them sold for us a franchise in Africa, and the other one brought in several recipes to Paramount. So be proud in yourself and your roots and keep pushing upward, not only because you will achieve more, but because you will make others proud too. Like our community. A lot of people say, well, Mohamed is Muslim and he can achieve that much, so I can too. And you can do more, much more, especially the people that they are born here, or you, even if you're not, but you will achieve much more, even more than I did. And you will open doors through which others can follow you. We all have the power to inspire other people and motivate them. We all have the power to change a life for the better, or many lives. And I know the satisfaction of making a contribution, like helping to make my city and my country just a little bit better. Like when I go on TV or when I give a speech or when I stand with the mayor or the prime minister, partially I'm being a little bit selfish, right? A lot of people say that, you know, maybe Mohamed won the media and that's why he posts, and they think I'm promoting myself. I'm promoting my business. I'm trying to raise my profile. But if you know what's in my heart, really, then you know that I'm doing it for another reason. I want people to see an Arab in a position of prominence, a Muslim in a position of influence. I want them to see an Arab raising money for charity for people in need, and not only Muslim charity, definitely Muslim charity, but more. I want people like you to look at me and say, if that guy with that heavy accent and came here, he wasn't that young, Mohamed Fakih can be successful in business, I can do better. And yes, you can do better. But more than that, I want people in my community, the Muslim, the Arab community, to understand the importance of getting involved in the broader community, in our city, in our province, in our country, even in politics. Canada is at its best when it's us and them, not us versus them. And that means working together. And that means building relationships. And that means getting to know your neighbors, breaking bread with them. At Paramount, hopefully, right? Breaking bread with people will get them to know you, and they'll get to know more about us, about our culture. I'm not saying break bread with people because I own a restaurant. I truly believe in it. When you break bread with people, you really get to know them. And think about it, when you really go eat with someone, you get comfortable. You start talking about your family or back home or even your personal life. It's a fact. People open up and they see each other in a much different way when they break bread together. It means making sure your life is dedicated to something bigger than yourself when you open up to others. The person I am today, I'm the person because of others. That's the power of the community. The wisdom that I share from the older people in my little village in South Lebanon, the lesson I learned in the streets of Beirut and the business world here in Canada as well, I learned a lot. But I'll never as well forget my mentors in Italy, Like I had a jewelry store owner in Italy that I worked for, and he taught me so much about the business and about life. My religion, which taught me generosity and good faith towards friends and strangers. My mom that had a sadaqah box right at the door before we leave the house. And when she used to give us money for lunch for school, she used to give us like 25 cents more so we can drop in the sadaqah box. And I grew up that way, and I still have this like a similar sadaqah box in my house today. And I'm teaching my 3 boys that. The role models in my life, like the charity approach, came from people that I met. Because of them, I'm the person who I am today, and I always be proud of the people of Lebanon, the people that taught me in Italy. I don't give up because they never gave up during the war. I tell my own children, our community needs to support each other, not just when it's easy, but when it's hard. Yes, it's true. I've seen the darker side of human nature. Many of us have. One time I was in the UK, and this man took a picture of my son Adam, a selfie to himself, and Adam was behind him, and I'm in the UK. And he said, drop the lawsuit, Mohammed. We know where your kids are. And my reply to him said, you know what? Allah send him. If you want to take him, go ahead. I will never drop the lawsuit. You know how much pressure is that on my family? You know how many times I got in trouble with my own wife? And a lot of friends said, let it go, Mohammed. But I can't. I couldn't. I could have set an example. I could have gave him a chance to do it again and again. But I also know how it feels to be supported by the community of people, not just by many in the Muslim community, but the wider Canadian community. They came together and helped me. It's good feeling. I like it. Even the Jewish community, came and said, how can we help? I feel so inspired by the success of other Muslims because it makes me want to aim even higher in my own life, and it makes me proud. And we really should take a pride on who we are. We should speak up for what we believe in. We should speak good about each other every time we help to build our community. Every time we have an event like this one tonight, we are bringing a little bit of good into a world that badly needs it. Even with the challenges, I truly believe that we're so lucky to be in Canada. I love Canada. I love Canadian. Most people don't want to build walls here. They want to build a future. Most people believe not just in tolerance, but in respect, diversity, inclusion, and equity. I was so excited to be speaking with you today because in my eyes, you represent what is good about our community and about our country. You are more than dozens of success stories waiting to be written. And look to your future with confidence and excitement, and don't let any person tell you that because of who you are, your name or anything, that there is something you cannot achieve. There is no way. Look at me. Like when I came here, I was happy to just be able to live alone in an apartment and rented and just get a good job. But I didn't want to stop. I wanted to always continue. I always say it's always forward for me, forward. And for you, please never look back. Never look at the past. I always say in life, you need to be a shark and a goldfish. A shark because sharks always go forward, and a goldfish because goldfish have very short memory. When you hear bad things, forget them. Your mistake that you make, learn it from them, but don't blame yourself. Keep moving. Look to your future with confidence. Don't let anyone stop you. I encourage you all. Because you are leaders and you could be leaders in small ways and big ways. When it's easy and when it's hard. Let's build together. I truly believe a group of people like you, we can all stand together. We can take care of one another and support one another. And let's show that we are capable of achieving more today, tomorrow, and always. Thank you. I'm ready for your question. But before we go there, I need to say something. As a father, and maybe that's selfish from my side, I actually was happy that my kids went through that. Look, a lot of fathers out there, and you will understand that once you become a father, we want our kids to be grounded a little. We want them to really learn a little bit, some hardship. We protect them too much. And I like the fact that my kids went through it. We had a conversation, and then we got to celebrate after. When I got the judgment, I'll never forget. It was around 3:00. My kids arrived home at 4. So I jumped in my car, got home, arrived before them, waited for them, and told them that we won. And I'll never forget the faces of my children, how proud they were. Those are moments that I'll never forget ever in my life. All what I'm saying to you, when you commit to something in life, you need to do it until it hurts. And there will be pain sometimes, but that's called a growing pain. Sometimes pain bothers us, but pain, it's a growing pain. Like the children when they're getting taller. Sometimes Adam, my son, he's 6. He wakes up crying, and I'm like, to my wife, what's going on? Why is he crying? And she'll say, he's growing. And then one time I was thinking about it. And the pain that I saw in business, the pain I saw in intolerance, that was a growing pain. It made me grow to the man I am today. And the second time it happened with me in front of Sufis, and they were trying to intimidate me with 6, 7 phones to my face, I laughed at them and I challenged them, pulled my ID, and I said, my name is Mohamed Fakih. If you're that strong to try to bully me, show me your name. And he wouldn't. He wouldn't show me his ID. So then I started calling him coward. Then they start pulling down their phone because they were embarrassed because they're taping to show other people, but they can't show other people someone's calling them coward or show me your name. So don't run away from pain. That's all what I'm telling you. Pain is a growing pain. So when something happened wrong and you think the whole world is going wrong, remember, it's a growing pain. Please go ahead with your question. I would like to talk to them and see their faces, actually.
I have a question. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Mohammed. How are you?
Wa alaikum salam, Habibi. How are you?
I'm doing great. My name is Hussain, and I'm from Halifax, Nova Scotia. You owe us a franchise here. We've been waiting for it, but we'll talk about that later. Really, thank you so much.
Let's talk about that now. Let's do business. I'm just kidding.
Honestly, it was very inspiring. A story of ambition, perseverance, patience. I had 2 questions. One of them is, I really took a lot of inspiration from you in terms of you're standing for your values, for your goals, for your dreams. When you first started, you must have reached a point at the beginning where it might have been stressful, overwhelming. You started second guessing. Should I really continue in this? This is too much. Did you ever reach that point, especially at the beginning where there's so many challenges in setting up the business, all the legalities, making the money? And how did you overcome that? Did you just have faith? What did you do to keep yourself going?
See, it's a beautiful question. I love it. So let me tell you something. Until today, right? Until today, I think sometimes that something might happen, right? And everything might fall apart. Would I be ready for it? So to go back to when I was really weak, and yes, every single day, I had so many doubts. And I didn't know where it's going. The bottom line is, when you believe, why immigrants do, and there is studies, I'm not talking just like, oh, because I'm an immigrant, I'm going to say immigrants are great. But no, it's not. You have to be hungry. And you really have to be hungry. Not always think, well, anyway, I live at my parents' house, it's okay. No, you have to really be hungry to succeed. You have to be really hungry to succeed, and your success has to be including what you're proud of. Look, I could add alcohol tomorrow to Paramount. I'll make $15 million more a year. $15 million more. Forget about alcohol. I could move it from hand slaughter to machine slaughter. I'll make $5 million more. I decided that I will go the harder way, but while I make my parent proud and my kids look up to me. We don't realize it. We live all our lives wanting to make our parents proud. And when we have children, or not our children, because for me, and I'll get to why my children are not only my 3 boys, my children are all the children of this community. I want them to be proud of me and look up to me. And the only way you could do that, you're only going to be proud to do that you don't do something you're ashamed of while you're getting to success. Money in the bank is not success. After you get, and please, I know a lot of people say that. I'm talking to you. I'm one of you. You know, after having a nice car, a house, and everything, the rest is money piled up. Today, I was in a meeting with the Deputy Prime Minister on a Zoom. And there was the top 14. I'm part of the Canadian Chamber of Commerce Council, top 15 CEO of Canada, to find a way for the recovery after COVID, right? And it hit me what you said. I looked at the screen and I'm like, the CEO of Pfizer, the CEO of Virgin. I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? The guy wants shawarma or something, right? So every single day, I had those doubts. Every single step was very complicated, like you said, a very complicated thing, so many legal, so much documents, do this, do that. Am I going to be able to? Every bill and invoice I saw, the payment of my first car, the first 3 months, I felt like, what a crazy $600, $550 a month. What am I doing? After 4 months, I stopped looking at the account. The first 3 months, I was looking at the account the night before, the night after to make sure that went through and it didn't bounce. I did. I'm telling you, right? And then I got used to it. That was a growing pain for me. But because I was very hungry, and I wasn't only hungry, I had always my principles. Even when I was in Italy and during the Iraq war, I was arguing with people about the Iraq war and why is this happening to our people and why. So I always wanted to be a voice. If I didn't have anything, and to all of you out there, you could make a difference without money. I started donating when I didn't have money. I donated my time. I taught Italian to the Canadian Army in the Italian-Canadian Institute. I donated my time. So, and they start building respect to me. And they start building respect to Mohamed, the guy's name Mohamed. And that Mohamed name started growing slowly. So you will have a lot of times where you're going to say, that's it. You know how many times I've been corrupted in my head when I was building Paramount? Like, that's it. I don't know where I'm going to pay these bills. I don't have the money. Then I'll go call the people and say, hey, by the way, I don't have your money. And I'm going to pay you this way. And I'll come true. So I couldn't build a credit. I was building credibility. Right? But if you really love what you do, you fight for it. And if you do not fight for it enough, then you don't love it enough. And there is something called noble mission. You have to set your noble mission in life. So what's your noble mission? I'm going to become a billionaire. You know, yeah, okay. I met the founder of Tim Hortons. He's the most miserable, God bless his soul, he's dead now. He's the most miserable CEO I met in my life. I believe in mentorship. I believe it's good to have great mentors. They bridge the gap for you. So I thought he's a mentor. The first 5 minutes, I started writing. After 5 minutes, and I realized how miserable, I put the paper in my pocket. 3 minutes after, I grabbed the white paper and I gave it to him. I said, maybe you should start writing. Because he had $16 billion, a boat from here to my closest Paramount, and he was not happy because he was thinking about the other $5 billion he didn't make because the person who bought it from him sold it for $21 billion after, right? So you need to decide what's your success, what is winning for you, and love it, and have another thing more than money, including a staff. Our team is not with Paramount because we pay them the best. Because they are there and they're doing something much bigger. They're part of something much bigger. They see what we're doing with the community. and they do not want to leave the company. A lot of times they get better offers, but it's not about that. They find their meaning, and you need to find something called noble mission for you. And that's, doing well. There's nothing wrong with becoming rich, right? But what's the noble mission? And like the alchemist said, you're going to fall 7 times on your face before you stand up once. And every time more you fall, remember, there is 6 left, 5, 4. Don't say, oh my God, I failed. It's not going to work. No, I mean, you don't believe in what you do. Definitely do your homework. Definitely don't wake up every morning with a great idea. Usually those are horrible ideas. You need to vet them. You need to really make sure the numbers make sense. But you need to have a noble mission as well. Because if your heart is not happy with it, if you're not convinced 100% that this is going to get you to your noble mission, you're not going to fight for it. But many times, including today in the meeting, when I'm going into that meeting and I looked at these names of CEO and I'm like, what am I doing here? I'm going to say something, embarrass myself, embarrass my community. What am I doing here? Then all of a sudden they start talking about, you remember what happened a year ago? You remember what the government did a year ago? Then I told them the story of the shark and the fish. Keep going forward. If we're here, we have an hour and a half with the prime minister, deputy prime minister. Let's don't talk backward. Let's talk forward. And stop. Let's forget how we lived before. Let's find a new way. Let's learn it from this pandemic something. And everybody stop. And we start talking forward, right? And people start commenting on the side. And then they start commenting. Thank you, Mohamed, for what you do for the community after what I said, right? So, yes, it's okay to be afraid from a test, an exam, a business, everything. But make it that fear of doing better, of measuring 10 times. But don't fall into, paralysis by analysis. Because you're looking for the best opportunity, the most perfect opportunity, and yet you do nothing. There's no such a thing. When I opened Paramount, I didn't know how to fry an egg. I'm a gemologist. You guys are crazy to support somebody. Gemologist knows diamond that sells shawarma. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, indeed, you went above and beyond. I mean, I don't want to take much from everybody's time, but my second question was very related to the first one, and that's more of an advice from you as a CEO.
I thought there were 2 questions, Hassan. What's going on here? I'm just kidding. Go.
Yeah, as a CEO and as a father, I graduated obviously, but I know the struggle of when I finished high school. I'm about to choose a career. We have some pressure from parents and society right now. What is the job that makes me more money? That's the job I'm going to take. Yeah. That is, deadly. I'm sure every youth here has a dream in his heart that they want to accomplish, but they're so hesitant because they're like, maybe this is not going to make me enough money. I'm not sure about that. Maybe I should stick with doing accounting or business or dentist or engineer. So what is your advice to us youth being worried about what to decide because money might not be the biggest reward from that career?
Oh, no. It's actually the opposite of what our parents say usually. Okay, you're going to have to make money. I'm telling you, you're going to have to make money. We're going to talk. If I'm still alive in 15, 20 years, I'm going to ask you if you made money. And the bottom line is, and I'm going to tell you a short story. And Yasser, can I clear something? Is there any parents here? Because I'm going to talk a little bit about the parents. So I don't get in trouble tomorrow and I'll have a tweet or something saying Mohamed Fakih was telling the kids that. I hope there's no parents. I'm just kidding. Okay. My father used to introduce me last. I promise you, wallahi. So he used to say, that's my son Imad, about my older brother. He's an engineer with his shoulder up. And that's my son Rabi'a, which is Rabi'a, younger than me. I'm like, okay, I'm here, right? And he's a pharmacist. And then he goes to my sisters, and I have 4 of them, mashallah. Like by the time I get there, like the people are leaving almost. And then he'll say, and Mohamed is in Italia. I don't know what he's studying. He wants to be a jeweler with a smile in the end, sarcastic, right? And no matter what I say, I love my brothers. I'm so proud of them, what they accomplished. But my dad walks around proud. When I walked into Lebanon after the explosion, I put my life at risk and I stood beside the people of our country, the people of our region, and I said, no, us, the people who immigrated, our heart is here more than yours. And we're here to send you a message of love and that you're not alone, right? So, and I'm going to go to the business of what you said. is actually the opposite. When you actually do what you really love, it might take longer, but you'll make more money. And you have to remember, even me, I'm a different generation than you. And your way of making money today is different the way I would have made money 20 years ago, 10 years ago. So your dad can suggest you in principles, but not on the jobs, because there's jobs your dad don't know, your mom don't know today. There's ways of making money that they won't be able to suggest you. And that's why I suggest mentors. Mentors in life and mentors in the field you're going in. Because they are there, they can bridge the gap, they've done it. You will definitely make more money by doing something you love. I have a lawyer that is begging me to make him quit law and go in business with him. And I'm like, man, you're a lawyer, you can charge $600-700 per hour. What's wrong with you? I have a lawyer's friend that makes $2 million a year, but I don't love it. I hate it. I can't make money out. So do what you love, do it well, fight for it. It might take longer, but you'll get there. And the bottom line is not only the money, the bottom line is money and be happy with what you're doing. A lot of people make money and then they look for their happiness somewhere else. You are at the start of that, so you could pick both.
Thank you so very much. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. No pressure. Let's see what you're going to... I'm just...
I had a statement to make, brother.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Kifak?
Yeah, Paramount is such a great restaurant. I really love it. I've been there many times. I got pizza from it when I was little, and I got shawarma and the rice, and I went there and I had, I think it was chicken and rice and bread and some other things, and it was amazing. The food is amazing. I really do love it. And your son is Adam, right?
Yeah.
My name is Adam as well.
Alhamdulillah. More Adam is great.
I had a question about
You tell people you're Adam, right?
Yes, yeah, I'm Adam.
That's good. That's good. Please, no one of you, please change your name. Be proud of your names. I've met a lot of people, including when I buy stuff, that they've changed their name. Please don't do that. We need to. Alhamdulillah.
I love my name.
That's good.
Sorry to interrupt. So I had a question. So I understand you're a very busy man, and like running so many locations and like being like the CEO is like, it's a really stressful, sometimes it's a stressful job. So how would you say like you sometimes like relieve stress or like organize your day to be like super efficient, or like do the things that you want to do, or like that you like you set goals for, like, let's say each day. How are you able to like accomplish those goals, and how are you able to like organize your day so that you're efficient and both effective as well?
Beautiful. So there is no such a thing like perfect, right? But there is time for everything. Don't listen to me. I don't sleep a lot. That's number one. But I don't sleep because I'm always excited. I'm excited about every morning. I was excited about today, about you guys. I'm a very excited person about what I do because I love what I do. Going back to what I said to Hussain. That said, I mean, people. Surround yourself with organized people, better people than you are. My team is better than me. They're much smarter than I am. I have a face for a radio and they're smarter. I don't know why I'm their boss, right? So they're smarter, they're better looking, they're great people. So I always suggest people. Surround yourself with the right people. One last thing you have to always remember, and to all of you, you need to know what you don't know. You really need to know what you don't know. Then you surround yourself with partners, people, friends, employees, whatever you're doing, with people that will complement what you don't know. A lot of our people, a lot of like business people, not only our people, from every community, don't know what they don't know. And it's a big step to establish what you don't know. And once you know what you don't know, you have people that will do it better. So the way I organize my life, there is an article in Toronto Life that I wake up at 4:30, and I made sure I plugged in our prayer time and everything to make sure that we get them used to hear that part of breaking bread together and getting to know us. But clearly we do something called look ahead a week ahead, look ahead a month ahead. And then we do look ahead a year ahead for the bigger things. So me and my assistant, we organize that, and look ahead a week ahead. So we're ahead of the game a week before that. Look ahead a month ahead, right? And we use a system called Asana. Every project has a file in Asana, and the project goes into what the targets are, name of the person responsible, and timeline. And everyone in the company, the executive team, and the frontline heroes, we call them, which is the store managers and the people that are involved in the project, they see who's late. Because when one person is late, the other person is waiting for them. So that will put accountability process, right? There is a video out there called 100/0, 100% accountability, zero excuses. We run with that policy. It's a tough love policy. If we have to move it forward and we're going to continue going forward, we need to meet the Asana deadline. And we need to do a look ahead, a week ahead, look ahead, a month ahead. As far as how I keep myself excited and what do I do on my spare time to keep me energized, I know it's going to sound like cliche and what people say. Look, what I do is clear. I love charity. My kids are involved. Yeah, I do own a boat. I go on trip because that's the only way I can get my phone to shut up. Because otherwise my messages are there, my emails are there, and people are texting me, and I feel so rude if I don't reply to them. I have a rule that I have to reply to everybody within 12 hours. And I reply to people within 12 hours, even if I don't have an answer. I'll say I don't have an answer, right? But one of the best things that makes me happy is charity, traveling. I travel a lot. I love traveling. And I'm Lebanese. We ski a lot. So I ski with my kids, and boring. I go on my boat. I love going to trips on the boat, right? Definitely. But charity is the best feeling. It gives me a great feeling. And now I'm getting my kids involved because that's something I want them to decide after if they would like to continue doing it. But you can't teach your kids anything because they want to learn on their own. But what you can teach them is kindness. Because kindness and a smile and helping someone opens so many doors. Opened a lot of doors for me. Smiling to people, even smiling. When you walk to a room, you want to talk to the person smiling. You want to talk to the kinder people. And when you talk to people, there might be a lot of opportunities.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I had a question, more business related.
How do you buy a Lamborghini?
How to buy a Lamborghini? Yeah. Well, inshallah, maybe in the future, it's definitely one of my goals. I'm not gonna lie.
Inshallah, that car will be old in a couple of years, so you only have 2 years.
They get new ones come out every day. You're right.
I'm just kidding.
But from an entrepreneur perspective, I'm always wondering. I have my own business I'm running right now myself, so I'm always wondering, how do you scale it? Because I know some companies, they scale too fast, and then that can be the detriment. That can be what kills them, actually, ironically. So how did you scale your business correctly, not to grow too fast, but to grow manageable? I know a lot of businesses, they can die down because they don't scale properly.
Yeah. So there is something called building for disaster. And I want you all to learn it. In the accounting business, it's called financial independence, right? So that definition is still something that I'm fighting for with a lot of people in Canada, across Canada. A lot of people think giving back to the community should not be included until you have reached your financial independence. So you become rich first, then you give back, right? I argue giving back helps you to get faster to your financial independence. And I've argued that with the head of Ernst & Young on an interview, me and him one-on-one. And I kept going until he actually admitted something that I wanted him to admit. So how do you scale? On your first business, let's say Paramount, and do not do what I did, do it better. I opened the first one. My sales were, when I took over, the place was $50,000 a month. I didn't know anything what I'm doing. I kept the cleaning table, welcoming people, smiling to them. Every mistake, bring 2 plates for free, lose money from both sides. And until I got the sales to 40, 50,000 a week. Then I got it to 100 a week. Then I got it to 130 a week. then that's it. My head is so big now that I couldn't even fit in my car. So, and definitely, please be aware of your ego. Always. That's what destroys you. Not growing fast is the ego that gets you to do wrong things. So I went and I took the store in Young and Steel. You want to know about a mess? Making a mess? I made a mess. I was losing 30,000 a month. Every chef was telling me, my hummus is better than Ali's hummus on the other side of in Crestlawn. And the other guy said, Ma'allim, my shawarma is better than the shawarma in Thornhill. Guys, I don't want it better. I want it the same. I want to repeat. And if you look at the old Middle Eastern food, like definitely Osmos is a Canadian Middle Eastern food, but no one before me got to 75 locations, even in the Arabic world. So it's not like something I could repeat like a burger and I go get the system, get a consultant and they'll teach me. So I had to create the system. So I ran forward. Thornhill was losing money. I went and I borrowed money from a friend because I don't borrow with interest. And to all of you, I've never borrowed from a bank. Never, ever. Right? We have one credit card in Paramount today for $10,000 and we pay it without interest. Right? So that slowed me down. If you ask Mr. Ernst & Young, they'll pull his hair. Right? I could have made it bigger, faster. So I ran forward and I opened Young and Dundas. And it was like the McDonald's movie when he grabbed the cent and he said, please make it good. Like it was worse for me. Like I would have bankrupted. Right? Before the first week I opened, I sold $100,000 a week. And the way I did it is I brought a consulting company and made it a proper system. And the hummus box is 360 grams. Everybody has to find a tool to make sure that hummus has 360 grams, 6 pieces of actual hummus on top to decorate, 20 grams of the red paprika to decorate the hummus, and 50 grams of oil. And has to be that way no matter what it is. And we got to that level. And we opened the third. Food cost, labor costs were playing, and then we got it straight. Then I opened London, and I started franchise. So banking for disaster means, let me go back. And I taught it to a very good friend of mine a year before the pandemic, and he said I saved his life for teaching him that. Banking for disaster is first to reach 1 year. You can afford your life without making a penny. Same level life after you own the business. And 2 years, if your business door shut down, you could maintain your business. And I did not open the second one until they got the first one there. So if the cash flow is there, it's always one word, everyone, cash flow. And that doesn't mean a lot of cash. It's cash flow, how it's flowing. So if you always need $20,000 in your bank account as a business, barbershop don't need more than 6. Flower shop needs 2. As long as you have 2 times that in the bank, and before you open the new one, get 2 times $2,000 in the bank, you can open a second flower shop. Right? And always invest in your business. Always. Never be cheap on your people, never be cheap on your business. Never. And one more, never be cheap on the community. Look, I'm going to take you there. If I have 2 minutes. Okay. So, how many people came to Canada from Saudi and Qatar and Kuwait and they have millions of dollars? Right? I have an example of a franchisee. He came, multimillionaire, the guy, bought a Paramount. I told my team, he's not the right guy. I have to respect my team. I have to say yes to them. Or not even from Qatar, Saudi, Kuwait, from anywhere. Doesn't matter where from. But they have money. They come with money. And people that comes with money, sometimes they don't want to get their hand dirty. And some of them do. It depends. But that that case particularly, he started treating the staff badly. And he started losing money. So if you don't invest in your team, they're your biggest asset and they will make you lose money. That's number one. If you don't invest in the community won't support you. If the community don't support you, Canadian community, I'm not talking Muslim community. If everyone don't support you in the area where you live, where you're doing business, you don't support the hockey team and the soccer team, and you show up to your community, you show up when there is a problem, you show up when there is a funeral, why would they support you? There is real studies shows that community support people that worries about people, purpose, and planet. It's called the 4 Ps. So for me, getting to profit and getting to rich, it's a destination. There's many ways to get there. You can cut on costs, you can raise your prices, and you could invest in your people, purpose, and planet. The community will support you, and the profit will come. 4 Ps. People, purpose, planet, the profit will come. That's my way. That's my theory in business. That's what I've done it from the beginning. And that's where we are. And we continue doing it. We never stop doing it. So you need to get there. You need to understand what the growth means. And you need to test it. Test it first. Don't jump in, and protect your first baby. If it's a restaurant, protected. If a friend of mine opened a new app, and he did very well in Toronto. And he called me and he wants to do Boston. I'm one of the investors. I said, don't. He said, no, look, this guy's giving us $1 million. I'm going to do Boston. I said, you're going to make a mistake. Don't do it. He said, well, because you're an investor, now I feel bad because you're my mentor. I said, no, you know what? Go do it. I'm telling you what's going to happen. And I'm not going to say that it happened. He just wasn't ready. The numbers didn't make sense. The partner wasn't the right partner, and he wasn't ready, right? So you need to have one question. My dad one time, that's not the question, but like it's a one question. Can you be replaced if something happened to you? I'll never forget when I started running. I came back from Italy for a couple of years in Lebanon because my dad didn't want me to marry an Italian girl. So I came back to Beirut and I got involved in his business. And I'll never forget, one day he called me and my brother and he said, meet me at the airport. I want to talk to you both. We met him at the airport. He said, give me your phone. We gave him our phones. He said, we're going to Cyprus. I said, what are we going to Cyprus to do? I'm running a business here. I have a business. I didn't tell them anything. He said, well, if your business don't run without you, you're fired. And I learned it that day. You do not scale unless your business runs without you.
Thank you so much for that answer. I like that, especially the little acronym you gave, the 4 Ps. It's a nice way to remember it. Beautiful.
I added another P. During the pandemic. Pivot.
The pandemic pivot. Yeah, good one.
No, it's the pivot.
The pivot,
right? Because because look what just happened, and everybody was like, "What's going to happen? We're going to shut down businesses. 12,000 restaurants shut down, right? We needed to pivot."
For sure. This brings us to the last question before we let you go. For taking your time. One last question. Anybody who has one last question, who's going to be?
Can I ask a question if that's fine?
Sure.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum, brother. You seem to be you're very inspiring, and it seems like you always have a positive attitude. And I believe that's probably the most important thing for dealing with a business, is that not caring so much about your profits still you have to care about your profits, but really not caring about, I say, your personal income, but caring more about the business itself and being positive with
the collective. Yeah, the collective. Yeah.
And I just had a question about during COVID, you mentioned the last P, which is pivot, the one you created. How did the beginning of COVID kind of teach you more about how important it is to be flexible with your business? What did you learn from it? And how has it made Paramount stronger, in your opinion?
It's very, very, very good question, actually. Thank you. So, again, when someone asked me, I said, you need to know what's winning for you in life. And what's your noble mission, right? So when it hit in February, I looked at it as, it's so sad. I left Lebanon, I left my parents, and I came here because I didn't want to hear people dying. And we were hearing people in China dying, in Europe dying. And in March, it hit the first case in Canada, I think, or end of February, approximately. I'll never forget that day. 3 of my top senior executives walked in and said, what are we going to do? And the second person in command in Paramount, her name is Carolyn White. She said, we're going to scale down. Last night, I didn't sleep. This is the list of 400 people we're going to lay off. And we're going to stop the 7 locations we're opening. And we're going to do this and this and that. And she's the second person in command. She's much better than I am in the restaurant industry. She's been around for 15 years, 18 years in the restaurant business. She's opened so many concepts, and I hired her around 4 years ago. The second person said, I don't know what to do. I've never been in something like this. And the third person had nothing to say. So I said to them, look, we don't know how long this is going. What will happen if we paid all our staff the same way as they were paid before? And what do we do? So they came back and they said, we're going to lose $3.5 million cash. I said, okay, well, leave me alone for a couple of days. So they left me for 48 hours. It was the worst 48 hours I've had. But I'll tell you why. I wasn't worried about $3.5 million. It was on my mind. I could do like everybody else. But what would have happened if I just realized that all the things that I used to say to people for the last 15 years of Paramount, that people first, and I tell my staff, you're my family, that end up in my mind, on my mind as a lip service. And the culture, this is the first time I use it here, but I use it usually. It's very important to have a culture in the company. And the culture of our company is people, purpose, planet, for profit. And this is a real test. So if I have a son and I run out of money, I'll send them to eat at the neighbor's house? No, I don't. I'll feed them with me. So how am I calling these people my family? Some of them has been with me since I started. One of them is the guy that picked me up from the airport when I came to Canada first and dropped me off to that basement apartment. And I'm going to send him home now? Never do something that makes you lose yourself. And firing people, laying off people would have made me lose the culture and would have made me lose respect to me. Right? So we had to pivot. So I walked in after those 48 hours and I said to them, that's what we're going to do. We're going to pay them that $3.5 million. You're going to stop royalty and everything you charge every franchisee in Canada, around the world. They said, that's another $1 million. I said, I don't care. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to wait for 3-4 weeks. And then we're going to have a meeting here. I hired the company immediately to do a research. What are possibly the businesses and the trends that will not be impacted by COVID? Was pizza, fried chicken, and burger. Okay? Because they're the highest percentage on takeout. Very simple. So study, always, numbers. I'm a number guy. Numbers has to make sense. And I use my heart after numbers. But a combination of both, not number first, not my heart first, because the worst part in business is not to stay in business. And the first rule of business is to keep the company safe for the staff. Even if you can't hold them, but you can bring them back after at least. So you have to protect the company while you're making this decision. And that's when we launched the touchless restaurant, boxed. And then we launched the Crispo, the fried chicken. Instead of firing people, I said to them, look, I'm going to ask you to do work that is not yours. I'm going to call it 90 days emergency. I told everyone on my team, no child will be, for what we do and decision we make, will remove a glass of milk from in front of that child. No cutting salaries. We're going to employ them. We're going to make them work on these 3 projects. And that's how we launched the box concept, Crispo, Massimo, then This thing is getting longer. Where are people going? Supermarket. Called Rabah, and I said, look, I called Sobeys, Rabahs, and Loblaws. Loblaws and Sobeys are still talking to us. But Rabahs moved faster. A lot of people said, why Paramount will go to Rabah? No, go to Sobeys. It wasn't about Paramount going to Rabah. It was about me maintaining our staff hired. And I will go to Rabah. And so what? But most importantly, what we did. So we show a company that we can pivot. We show a company that has a real culture and we protected it. And we show a company that the community can count on during the hardest time. You know, I moved out of my house for 2 months. I lived alone in a hotel to be able to feed the homeless in the street. I used to see my kids through the glass because I wanted to show Canada and Canadian that immigrant, Muslim, Arab, you can count on. And we will shine when it gets harder. And I'm telling you, I'm so proud that after this pandemic, Paramount did not lose one location. Paramount did not lose one franchisee. And Paramount actually added employee, didn't take away. And that's how we pivoted. But we pivoted while we protected the people purpose plan. Not by saying, you know what, no one's looking. Let's go back to styrofoam. Let's stop donation to the community. I actually dropped my prices on my menu the first 3 months of the pandemic. I sent a message to everybody, your dollar is short. You're not going to make as much money. I'm going to make you buy more with your dollar. Because look, we were not making money. We were losing money. So what's the difference? So it wasn't about money. It was about cash flow. And actually brought more money because the community supported. And to all of you, confidentiality on the table. I'm just kidding. There's no confidentiality. There's many people here. But 80% of Paramount location today sales, by adding a Cristo, the chicken, and the Massimo pizza, the sales in those locations, 80%, except downtown Toronto, are higher than before COVID when we had sit-down dining restaurants, alhamdulillah, right? And that shows the community is the customer, and the customer detects good companies and bad companies. And today, every big company in Canada are talking about social corporate responsibility, but they're still at the lip service, cutting a check. We slowly will move to them doing it hands-on until it hurts. Hope I answered.
Thank you much. It was a great response.
Thank you.
Really amazing. I'm glad you asked that question. That was a very amazing answer. Definitely eye-opening for sure. And I would really like to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. It really means a lot. I think I speak for everyone when I say that. It's an amazing opportunity to have listened to you, share your career and experiences with us, and extensive, insightful knowledge. Your story is nothing short of inspirational and astonishing. We wish you continued success, and we look forward to working with you in the near future, like events like this. And
I'm always happy to do that. You guys are the leaders, the next leaders, and honestly, you are the stories of success that we're waiting for this community. Get involved in politics, and don't go today and tell your parents. Mohamed Fakih said, don't listen to your parents, please. Thank you very much, everyone, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi
wa alaikum assalam. So thank you everyone for listening. This does conclude tonight's event. We thank you for attending. We hope you found it very interesting and inspiring. And if you are interested in more events like this, we will be sharing a link where you can, which is a form where you can sign up with your email and name. And just a quick note for the Al Hussain youth to please stick around. There's going to be a second Zoom meeting link for a quick group discussion. So thank you for your patience and for attending. And wa alaikum assalam.